During this time of limited travel, increased isolation, and stressful media, we want to make the most of this time right here at home.
Let us be your escape from life's monotony. Allow yourself to indulge in your wildest travel fantasies and discover the constant beauty of this ever-changing world with the Wanderlusting Wives podcast. On today's episode, we're introducing the podcast, introducing your hosts, and introducing what this podcast has to offer for you.
Welcome to the Wanderlusting Wives podcast. We are your navigators, Allison Endres.
And I'm Regan, Todd. And we are two best friends who have a passion for travel and adventure. And over the years, we've become diagnosed with a crippling sense of wanderlust. And seeing as that we're two young wives living 268, give or take a few miles apart, the doctor said to stay connected by indulging our wanderlust through a podcast. So, Allie, where do we stand with where we've been? Where are we with that?
Well, since you asked, between the two of us, we've been to 24 countries, 4 continents, and 43 states. So just a few places. And counting. Let me just add that. And counting.
Well, yes, of course.
Yeah. And on the Wanderlusting Wives podcast, we'll be talking all things travel, from our recommended destinations to our favorite travel memories to travel tips for you to take away. We post 20-minute episodes every Tuesday morning Eastern Standard Time. So who are we, Regan?
Oh, man, that's going back a long ways. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that it all started in our neighborhood. Allie and I lived one street away from each other, and we both had the same house number. We both had the same color house, and yet we grew up without knowing each other for so long. And then one day, my mom and I were playing tennis, and we met you and your mom outside, and kind of the rest is history. You really get bonded, though, when you carry a metal razor scooter from one house to the other house in the middle of a lightning storm, and you almost lose your life. And we've been best friends ever since.
Yeah, and we happened to huddle by a tree during a lightning storm. Not sure why we thought that was a good idea, with the metal scooter in hand.
Oh, Allie, we were so smart when we were young. Oh, and the performances in the backyard of High School Musical and Hoedown Throwdown.
You definitely burned those CDs, right? They're no longer in existence.
Oh, honey, they are in existence.
Oh, no.
We'll let all of you listen in sometime.
No.
So, but Allie, you have to tell us, who did you play in High School Musical?
Well, since I just happen to be the best singer out of everyone, sorry to the other neighborhood people listening to this, but I was Gabriella, of course. But really, I was actually the shy one, and Regan was probably like, yeah, Ellie, you're going to be Gabriella. And I just said, okay. And we went along with it. So you can only imagine who Regan must have played.
What? Me? No, I wasn't Sharpay. Well, of course I was not. Sharpay. She just wears pink. What else would I want out of life? Oh, man. Well, we are the Wanderlusting Wives of the Wanderlusting Wives podcast. And we, over the course of our time together, just want you to kind of get to know us. And we're going to start this episode off with just talking about travel and kind of escaping for a moment to just kind of indulge in all of the world's beauty and everything, kind of escape a little bit from the day-to-day norms and negativity we feel in the world. But before we head into that, let's head off with a nice little icebreaker so you can get to know us a little bit better. So, Allie, drum roll, please. What reality show would you want to be on?
Well, my new obsession is Selling Sunset, because who wouldn't want to look at $1 million houses with awesome views every day?
Oh, so true.
I would like to be on Selling Sunset. Maybe not all the drama, but all the beautiful houses, I'm in. How about you, Regan? What reality show would you want to be on?
Oh, you know me. I love a good baked goods. So I'm going to go with the Great British Baking Show, I think. Oh my gosh. Some of those desserts, first of all, I'm jealous of their skill and creativity. And second of all, get in my belly. Am I right?
Yes, right. It seems a little stressful, though. I see so many things just topple over, but it still looks so delicious.
Oh, Yeah. Oh, this world just has so much beauty in it, including, cakes and cookies.
Yes.
All right. So, that being said, we are on to travel. Here we go. So, Allie, where are the top 5 places in the entire world that you have been?
All right, this one was extremely hard for me to narrow down to 5. I mean, the world is just so beautiful. I can go on and on about more than just these 5 places, but in no particular order, my top 5 would definitely be Iceland, Bolivia, Spain, Morocco, and Sweden. Yes, I do like the US, but I do enjoy a good trip across the pond, as they like to say. But how about you, Regan? What are your top 5 places?
I think we're tied at number 1 there with Iceland.
Yep.
I think I'm going to go Ireland. And then, unlike some of us, I'm going to stick in the US a little bit. But Arches, Canyonlands, basically just Utah in general, gorgeous. Have to say I'm a sucker for Disney World. Got me some Disney
No,
World
not
fans out
you.
there.
Only like 50 times there.
20, Ellie. 20.
Okay, sorry.
And I think number 5 would have to be New Orleans.
Awesome. Really great list. I definitely cannot argue with those places. All awesome places to go to, and there's so much more to see. So what would you say your top 5 places that you want to go are?
Oh man, that's a tough one. Well, I know where I'd start. I would start Italy is definitely up there for me. I am in the background of my life planning a trip for next summer, hopefully seeing how things pan out, but it just looks gorgeous, specifically like Sicily, southern Italy, Naples. It just looks absolutely gorgeous, and I want to experience the Italian culture. It fascinates me. And beyond that, I would have to say probably the Maldives. It just looks gorgeous. And then I want to do like a kind of lengthy trip through Sweden, Norway, Finland, do like a whole tour up in the Nordic region. Just again, culture looks so unique. I don't think there's anything quite like it. And I am all about going to different places and indulging, to use one of our podcast words, in the culture of somewhere else that's so different from us,
Yeah, it's amazing there. I've only been to Sweden, but it's just unreal. I mean, also Denmark. I think that's also considered one of the Nordic countries. But yeah, it's crazy. It's a completely different world there, and couldn't recommend it enough. Haven't been to Norway or Finland, but that is definitely a top place I'd like to go to as well.
Yeah, and you had quite the unique experience in Sweden too. Like, we're definitely going to have to talk about that at some point.
Yes,
that's
for
just,
sure.
For all of you, for a preview, Allie spent some time in Sweden as part of her degree in school.
Yep.
And we'll definitely have to talk about that sometime, and you can share your experiences.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah, but to round out my list, I'd probably say Greece and Bali. Some other super cool places.
Yeah, some warm places. Much different than the Nordic countries there. So.
Or even different from what I'm looking at outside my window right now, which is basically just snow on snow on snow.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's me. What about you, Ellie? What would be your top 5 places to go?
Yeah, well, thanks to Instagram, Cappadocia, Turkey is at the top of my list because anytime I see it, I'm just like, I need to be in a hot air balloon floating above whatever earth, like the things that are like sticking out. I don't even know what they're called, just earth sticking out. That's all I can describe it as. If you've seen those pictures, usually the girl with the brown hair and the red dress leaning over the edge, and there's the sunrise and the hot air balloons. How could you not want that? Seems expensive, but one can dream, right?
Well, that's what we're doing here on this podcast, is dreaming and escaping and just taking a moment to think about those sorts of things,
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of sunsets, I hear Hawaii has some nice ones too. So I would definitely want to go there. And it's in the US, so I definitely need to do
you heard it here first, folks. Allie actually does like the United States.
Yes, I do. There are some good things, believe it or not. So I definitely would like to go to Hawaii sometime. Really, any of the islands. I haven't been to any of them. So all of Hawaii, please sign me up. And then Machu Picchu, Peru has always really intrigued me. The view just seems so surreal and would definitely be a awesome trip to go on.
Yeah.
And then, like you, Greece. How could you not want to go there?
So
Have I
true.
been on Instagram a lot? I think so, because a lot of these places I've gotten my inspiration from, like specifically Santorini. I mean, the white buildings with the blue tops and it seems amazing.
Dreamy, right? Yeah.
Yes, as long as it's not on fire, right? Was that like a year ago that Greece was burning up or whatever?
And that's the sad part kind of about our world is like it's so beautiful, but yeah, it can be so fleeting. So
Yes,
that
definitely.
drives my desire to go to these places as soon as possible, because it's like there's so much culture and history everywhere you look that like you just want to see all of it and experience it.
So
Yeah.
we've got to get there. And then the last one on my list is Thailand. It's quite the trek, but I think it's definitely worth the long flight because I hear it's fairly cheap once you get there. So I think that would be very beautiful to try out that. And then do you want to talk more about like our favorite adventures or experiences from our travel?
Oh, yeah, let's do it. Oh my gosh, there's so many. So I'll let you start. Where are you at with your favorite adventure, moment, or experience in all of your travels?
So there are a ton on this list, but I'm going to save some of those for some other episodes. So I picked this one just because it was such like a unique experience that I've never had before. So my sophomore year of college, I spent 2 weeks doing a service learning project in Bolivia. And during that time, I got to stay with a host family and learn some Spanish and get to know their culture more, which I've never really been able to do before because, just touring around different places, you don't really get to have those authentic experiences. And maybe, like a few words that you need for traveling to get by. But, we're having dinner and the uncle doesn't speak English. And I'm over here trying to figure out what the heck he's saying because he's only speaking Spanish to me. So that was really cool. I think it really gave me a chance to grow as a person and then also grow with my Spanish knowledge. So that was an incredible experience. So how about you, Regan?
Again, I'll stick here in the United States, and I have so many questions about your trip to Bolivia, and so we're definitely also going to have to do an episode on that because, again, a different culture, a different experience, even too. That you weren't there for vacation, you were there for a service learning project, and so that aspect of it too, how it just plays into your experience as a whole. So definitely going to have to do an episode about that because that just fascinates me so much. But yeah, so my experience, I would probably categorize it more as an adventure. My brother lives in Phoenix, Arizona. He's lived there for quite some time. Would love for him to be closer, but you know what? He lives in a nice, warm place. So, I mean, it's good to be able to go and visit, good to see them when we can. Several years ago, I think I was in college, maybe, I'm not super sure, but I flew out by myself to go and visit him in Arizona, and we took a trip up to Sedona, which, if you haven't been there, is just gorgeous, like red rocks everywhere, and just it's almost surreal. Like, well, and then you have the anesthesiologists' houses that are massive. It's like there's some beautiful scenery though in the middle of all of that, and we took a hike, the Cathedral Rock hike, and oh man, we battled rattlesnakes and rock scrambles and gaps and all sorts of stuff. Okay,
Jeez, you live to tell about it. Wow.
Okay, well, I may have embellished about the rattlesnake. We did hear one. We didn't have to battle it, but and there was a rock scramble though, and there were gaps we had to jump over. But just that time with my brother was amazing. And then we get to the top and just the most incredible view of these red rocks. And it really just reminds you, like, you are so small in this huge, beautiful world. And it's really humbling when you get to something like that, where it's like this view is expansive and just exactly like you lose your words.
Yeah, it's just crazy. It definitely, traveling definitely puts into perspective like just how small we are in the grand scheme of this whole world. It's just
Mm-hmm.
It's just amazing, honestly. If you haven't traveled,
Yeah.
you need to go get out there. Even if it's just one state away or a city away, you'll just be so surprised at how
Yeah.
amazing it truly is.
Yeah. And everywhere you go too, it's like you meet people that
Mm-hmm.
it, again, like you just said, the city over, the state over, whatever it is, on a small scale or a large scale, the people that you meet really are what they're what influence
Yep,
your
absolutely.
experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different perspective. It's a different culture that people from, and ethnic backgrounds, everything. It's like the people make these experiences. The landscape is really gorgeous and cannot recommend certain landscapes enough, and we will get into all of that through this podcast. But the people, taking time to invest in the people and just appreciate everything that this world has to offer in them and the beauty.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Which brings us to, though, like, investing in each other and like our relationship and what travel has brought to our relationship, and that we've been able to experience so many of these things together. So what are our top places that we have been together?
Well, without a doubt, Iceland. It was on both of our top
Oh
lists,
yes.
so it definitely has to be mentioned here because that was just
Absolutely.
honestly an out of world experience. Because if you've been there, you know what the terrain looks like, and it's like you're on another planet. So that
Hmm.
was forever my number one at this point in my life. So cannot
Absolutely.
recommend that enough. We're actually even going to have a whole podcast, maybe two-part podcast about Iceland. So we love it that much.
Yes. And you will see how much we love it when we get to this next category. So let's quickly get through the rest of this one.
Yeah.
So our other top places we've been together are Outer Banks, Disney World, of course, had a blast. Can't wait to do it again. And then a cruise that we took out of New Orleans, our very first cruise for both of us, and we went together. Lots of stories about that. In our next episode, we're going to talk all about cruises and our experiences with that. And then finally, we took a cross-country trip together from Arizona all the way back to New York.
Yeah, that was definitely an amazing list of places, and there's so many more we could talk about, but just want to give you guys a brief snapshot of our favorite places and trips we've been on so far. But that also leads us to the fact that we haven't been everywhere together yet. So I always like to say I haven't been everywhere, but it's on my list. So what is our list, Regan?
Well, I feel like there's a common theme here of one place that is on every single one of these lists here. And that would be, you guessed it, Iceland. We really want to go back, and we want to go off-roading in the interior and see the Northern Lights. That's like bucket list worthy. Looks
Yes,
incredible.
absolutely. And then
Yeah.
Greece, that was on both of our lists as
Yeah.
well. So there's just so
Yeah.
much to see there, and definitely a top choice. And then
Yeah.
Banff National Park. That, oh my gosh, just the
Yeah.
pictures are amazing. And, it's still on the same continent as us. So, not too far. You don't have to travel
You
across the
sure,
pond,
Ellie?
but
Are you
it's a
sure it's
different,
not too close to the United States
yeah,
for you?
it's still a different country. So I'll take
Okay,
it.
okay. We'll take it. We'll take it. All
Yeah,
right.
add that to the list for sure.
It does look gorgeous, and I really hope we're able to do that sometime. That would be
Yeah, me
amazing.
too.
Yeah. So then that leaves us with one last question for today's podcast, and that would be our favorite adventure moment or experiences from one of our trips together.
So there's no way this is going to be Iceland again, right? We've already mentioned that like 10 times.
Oh, well, we can I'm sure we can come up with something else. There's got to be other stuff.
I don't know. This one just gives me the giggles anytime I think about it.
Okay,
So
true.
I
Well,
think we
let's
should
go with
just
it then.
mention it.
You tell a story. You tell a story.
Well, camper van in Iceland is pretty much all I need to say. Let's just say there was a tiny heater, long hours.
I believe it was pitch black, and also a wrong turn was taken in the middle of the fjords. Am I right on this?
Yes, if I'm remembering correctly, that is how we ended up at a camper in the dark with a tiny heater. And 4
Yeah.
people in the camper. I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, that was an
Yeah.
interesting time.
Yeah. Just picture that. You've been driving for, I don't know, I think it was like a 16-hour day that we were driving from one side of Iceland to the other. It's pitch black. There's a wrong turn that gets taken because, I mean, none of us had been there before. And, oh man, and then you pull up and you're like, okay, I'm going to get in a cozy bed. And you look to the right and it's like, wah, wah, wah. And there's your camper. There's your cozy bed. Oh man, I was
to
so
a house.
angry.
We forgot to mention that. It was next to a house.
Oh, next to the house, and there was a shared bathroom inside the house.
Yes.
But it was, oh yeah, it was a whole thing. But you know what? When we woke up though, it was beautiful. And also that experience let me know how much I love duvets.
Yes, duvets. Oh my gosh. Those were like some of the best nights of sleep I ever had with those duvets in Iceland.
Honestly, oh man, folks, if you have not given a duvet a try and you just look at it and you say, this is one layer, how is this possibly going to keep me warm? Well, just give it a shot. You might wake up even sweating because it is just like cozy. And Allie's totally right. Like best sleep of probably my life under those duvets and quite possibly even in that camper.
Yeah, that duvet saved us.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, I think that kind of wraps it up for today. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I think we hit a lot of great points and there's more to come for sure. So if you like our camper story, you should stick around because we're going to have 1 or 2 episodes of just Iceland. So with that, we just thank you so much for hanging out with us and we can't wait to journey along with all of you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Wanderlusting Wives podcast. Come escape with us again next Tuesday morning, and until then, wander on!